Welcome to the Ani-TAY Podcast, episode 11. We're recording on the 1st of March 2015. As always, I'm your host Ken. We have here David.
Hey.
Kevin.
Hello. That was dramatic.
And our... yeah, I know, right? I was like, I don't know if I was lagging myself. And our guest, Michael, who's back again with us after a fair few months.
Yeah, I think like 6 months.
Welcome back. It's great to have you.
Thanks.
First recurring member on the podcast as well.
I'll carry the distinction with honor.
Yes, and you better do it well because we are not biggest in Japan right now.
Yeah, we are sadly, Richard will not be joining us for this episode, but we will march on. The show must go on.
Well, it's funny. I think last time I was on, Kevin wasn't here, so.
You're the pinch hitter for us.
Yeah, I guess.
Our go-to substitution. And obviously, we're well acquainted from last time with your top three. But if you would like, just to give a refresher to most people here who might be listening to brand new or might have missed your episode on your top three anime, if you can remember them. That's if they've not changed as well.
I'm pretty sure they've changed just because, with the whole only having watched anime for a short period of time, that list is pretty flexible for a while.
Yeah, well, humans are fickle creatures anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. I think off the top of my head, if I were to say my three favorite shows at this point, and if I thought about it for a long time, they might be different, I would still say Sword Art Online. That was the starter, and I know that there were things wrong with it, but it doesn't matter. I love it.
Yeah.
So, and then probably My Teenage Romantic Comedy Snafu would be one of them now.
Yes.
So, and then I am going to go out on a limb and say that Your Lie in April will be up there as well by the time it's finished, because it's pretty much there right now, so as long as it doesn't butcher everything, it will.
Which we might get into later on. So,
Yeah.
in this episode, where us four will be discussing Log Horizon, the second part, which is this is the second core now, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Then Saekano, which I've completely forgotten now the full title, but I'm sure someone's gonna go for us.
How to raise a boy
How to
and
raise a
girlfriend.
boring boy. Yeah.
Oh, I thought someone was going to cover me in the Japanese English, but yeah, that's fine.
I don't
That'll
know.
work.
Yeah, that's the full
Kites
English.
and no heroin.
Your Lie in April and Tokyo Ghoul. And we'll start off with Log Horizon 2, Season 2 in the second core. Right, so if you're watching this series, you'll know that this is the continuation of Season 1. And essentially, I think essentially at this point, we're following the group of new guild members, or the lower level guild members in Log Horizon. And then they leave Akibihara on a new quest, and then the idea is that whatever happens in that quest has major implications for the rest of the game, or their reality in this sense. And obviously this is the series about people who, I think Japanese gamers, who suddenly just got stuck into an MMO game, and they realise
part of it
stuff happens.
Part of it's that it's worldwide. It's just that you can only find people in Japan because you're on an island.
Yamato.
Yeah, I'm assuming I think we have met European players. Oh no, we met Chinese players, haven't we?
We've met.
Don't ask me. I haven't seen like the past 10 episodes because it got so boring. So
I'm pretty much in the same boat as Rock, but I was pretty sure. Isn't the second core kind of getting into what's her name? She's kind of like
of Shiroe's old group.
Yeah.
What was it called?
I know
the debauchery tea party.
The leader of the tea party.
Yeah.
If anything, she just had a cameo. I'm actually like one episode behind, and she only had a cameo, and that's it.
Okay.
Well, actually, if anything, they're trying to develop this other faction. The one with the cliffhanger. Well, not cliffhanger. The last quote unquote villain we saw at the end of season 1. The one with the cat lady. They're trying to develop her faction and her character at this stage.
Okay.
Which is episode I think 16 in.
Yeah.
So it's good they've clocked in there.
Yeah,
so, as obviously pointed out.
But yeah, Nanami or whatever, she isn't in Japan. That's part of it. She's somewhere else in the world, and she's like, her whole thing's kind of like a side story in the light novels. Apparently, I haven't read the light novels yet, but apparently she's kind of like has a side story where she's trying to get back to Japan. It's her journey sort of thing. I was expecting that we'd see a little bit of that in the second season, but it doesn't sound like it. Oh, well.
No, there literally was a moment where you just see how she's doing, and then it just switches back to the Log Horizon. Like, oh, okay, I guess that happened.
Okay, so we put her in the opening for nothing. Whatever.
Yeah. So So obviously, from the sounds of it, not about half of us haven't really kept up with it, and you're saying that it's reasonably boring at this stage.
The first core had a lot of problems.
Right. Okay.
Harsh.
All right. I mean, expand. Might as well expand.
Well, there's a couple of things you can point out immediately, and one of them is the slide in animation. Now, you can say that the first one had kind of like a low-quality look to it, but it also, it was very uniform, and it kind of grew into its own with its animation style. And then Studio Dean came in, and yeah, we've got a different art style, and it shows through a lot, and I think people haven't liked that as much.
I would actually argue that it's not that different. I honestly, if anything, it just feels a lot blurrier, but not in the sense that it's lower quality. It's just some of the colors might have been.
I think it glosses it a lot more.
Yeah, but in the end, like it's rather than complaining about animation of the show. I mean, obviously you could argue, that's probably one of the aspects why we watch it. But it's not. I don't think it detracts from the actual adaptation of the story, which is because obviously they still adapt. This is an adaptation of a light novel, so
certainly not.
So far, it's not. I wouldn't say that if you can't really point out the animation, because if anything, it's like I guess one of the best examples is Minami-K. That series changed over studio 4 times and still did pretty well. I mean, you don't get a series that get reproduced 4 times and it gets handed over, right? And so in the case of Log Horizon 2, it's not that bad. I've seen, it's not that bad at all, really. I feel. I mean, in terms of Minami-K, where one character actually looks completely different, but in terms of Log Horizon, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
I really don't feel it's that much different. It's a marginal difference. Like obviously you notice it, but it's never enough to like make you think, oh my god, I'm watching an entirely new show.
Yeah, I'm not too picky on animation, to be honest. Like if it's as long as it doesn't like make me want to shut my eyes, or it's not like blindingly brilliant, then I don't really think a whole lot of it while I'm watching the show.
Yeah, and
so as long as it's not jiggly jiggly heaven, you don't pay attention to it, or as long as it's not unlimited budget works, you don't pay attention to it.
That's a really good way to put it, actually.
but yeah. Anyway, so past the animation issue.
Past Studio Dean. Then there was also the fact that the first arc was rough, to put it lightly.
Yeah. Yeah, the first arc was so boring.
It started off well enough. They're like, I've got to go and we've got to do this raid and stuff, and there's a whole bunch of socio-economic, political weirdness going on. Apparently, there was debt in you know what I'm talking about, the city, and
Akihabara, yeah.
I totally, all right.
You got that. You totally nailed it. Yeah, go on.
Shut up. Okay. There was like debt in there, and there was all this economic. Ooh, maybe they were going to do something, and then the raid takes many episodes, and then there's this side plot with basically all of the characters back in Akibara.
Yeah, you're definitely right saying it's probably really fragmented. Like, we had the arc, except we had Shiro doing the raid, then we had the Akihabara murderer, so to speak, and then we had Krusty defending the line against goblins.
Yep.
And it was just like, while it's not too hard to follow too hard to follow, it didn't really match with anything going on, because there were 3 separate incidents, and while I guess you could call it more world building, a lot of it probably just seemed a lot of fluff pieces, just extra time.
Well, you see, I think
it was fluff. It wasn't world building. I didn't learn anything more about the world, and you didn't learn anything. Nothing happened.
Yeah, really.
It was boring.
Yeah,
nothing happened.
Nothing was happening that had any effect on anything.
I think the worst part, and the part when it finally hit me that this is just so boring, was I think it was like episode 10 when the guild leader for Silver Sword, like William, Massachusetts.
Oh yeah.
He's like he literally gives a speech for the entire episode. The entire episode is him thinking to himself and talking out loud the entire time. No one moves at all. Well, no, I'm sorry. He's sitting down and he stands up. That's literally the only like physical action that happens in that entire episode.
Are you sure you're not describing Evangelion 24? Okay.
I did. Oh, I thought you were going to point out the episode where I think it was the episode prior when Shiro first experienced death in
that one was kind of bad too.
Oh no, Elder Tale, sorry. And then they spent like half an episode in silence because they're in that like limbo.
I mean, that was annoying, but I sort of felt like they were at least trying to do something. I don't know. When someone just gives a speech for 25 minutes and it's not like a conference and your teacher is talking to you in real life or something, I'm like, why am I watching this for entertainment?
Yeah, I think Rock nailed it. I think Kevin nailed it when he said that nothing happened. Basically, when you watch a show like this, there's something to be said for there being like a lot of different stories going on and learning a lot. But this isn't one of those kind of shows. This is one of those kind of shows where you expect there to be a plot. You expect Shiro to be off doing this raid to get the money to save Akibara. You expect the people in Akibara to be doing something to help him do that. Or, it all has to kind of tie together, and that didn't happen. It all is just everywhere.
If anything, it's actually now crawl to a really slow pace.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Yeah. I think in the second arc, I didn't, because you're reasonably up to it, aren't you, Michael?
I'm a couple weeks behind, but I'm closer than the rest of them.
Don't worry, you haven't really missed much. If we actually I don't know if you remember one of the side characters, Isuzu, the musician, the younger. Yeah. We have to go through her arc because apparently she means she has tangible assets to provide for the story. So so yeah,
what?
It's still
why.
No, we don't know. I mean, it kind of like, obviously with Log Horizon, they're gonna try and pull this stuff on us all the time. We're gonna have flashbacks of people's previous lives. I mean, this is definitely gonna happen. I think it definitely seems to be going that way at the moment, considering with the latest arc concerning I forgot what the faction's called, but yeah, it is really slow, and it sometimes can be a struggle to watch when trying to be attentive to it.
Yeah. It's really a shame too, because season 1 was so great.
It really was.
Every episode was used to develop the world, to get you interested in the social economic issues, and then nothing.
Yeah.
Just
I mean, even the economics in this one, it's more kind of like magic, because they're like, we're running out of money. Okay, okay, there's a giant bolt with money.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Deus Ex Machina raiding and Deus Machina law talk. Remember, I don't know if you guys caught the episode where Krusty disappears due to the law, and then they don't actually ever go back to it, and they just kind of like gloss over. It's like, where's Krusty? I don't know. He's still on the front lines. Okay, carries on story. It's like, no one's told them that he's disappeared. Like, he's straight up spirited away sort of style. He's straight up gone, and no one's like, try to use the in-game communication to say, yeah, we lost Krusty. He's dead now, dude. We don't know where he's gone. No, none of that.
I think in fairness, I think that like the lady, whoever, his like assistant that had the sword that did whatever and like ate him. I don't even know. I remember she came back like a couple episodes later, and then she told like his combat instructor person that he had at the city. And they were like, oh no, he's gone. And then they like mourned for 5 minutes, and then I haven't heard from it since.
Wait, they actually mourned? I must have missed that episode.
It was more, well, they didn't have like a funeral. I just mean like the trainer lady, when she found out, she was like really distressed for a few minutes.
No, better.
Yeah. So no, not even a funeral. Not even, but...
So do you guys think it's a problem that Log Horizon might have played its cards too fast in this first season, or its first season showing?
I think this season was a solid cash grab.
I'm pretty sure it was too. I bet it hasn't costed them very much relative to most other anime productions to make this second season.
Well, I think part of the red flag was that they went from Satellite to Studio Dean. It's like, why would you jump a studio when the studio did such a good job? Oh, they probably offered them less money.
Maybe. We'll never know until...
Or maybe Satellite's gearing up for their big, Macross thing. I don't know, but...
Yeah. I mean, they do try to replay some of the things they've done by keep introducing, like, secret arts. The idea that there are skills only obtained without, like, that aren't in the game public knowledge wise.
Yeah.
They are trying to keep playing the same card of trying to expand the world and the lore, and it does seem like you're basically seeing the same thing twice after a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, and one thing I'm surprised we haven't mentioned yet was Super Angsty Akatsuki.
I called it Angst Horizon for a while. That was
I mean, that
bad.
pretty much defined like that middle part of the first core when she was, like having this whole inner thing. Inner thing. I don't know. I didn't like it. It was boring.
She was having a lot of inner conflict about, oh no, I'm
Yeah.
not useful to Shiro, and we're like, you're a fucking
Level
ninja.
Level 87 ninja. You're pretty high level, I'd say. But that definitely. Oh yeah, I think the whole problem with the first arc is it dragged way too long, and
Yeah.
nothing was more or less achieved.
It focused
they could've,
on all the
done it in
wrong
half the time.
things.
And I think they could have done it in probably half the time if they didn't that whole speech with William was just so unnecessary. Like I'm pretty sure it could have been possible to do in about 2 minutes instead of having all this internal monologue before like every sentence that he said. It was just so boring. I wanted to turn it off when I was watching that episode, but I saw the whole thing.
But no,
for
his
some
name's
reason.
William Massachusetts. You know they've paid it. They've bothered to flesh out this character. Once they've given him an actual name that might be rememberable, you're thinking, wait a minute, William Massachusetts. I can remember this. He must mean something. He's clear. He's of clear importance.
It means he's going to declare independence now.
Yeah. And he did because he left to go to what was it, Susukino or something like that, the other city.
Yeah, he decided
Boom!
to join
Foreshadowing.
the round table. Essentially.
Yeah.
That turned out well for him in the end, anyway.
It always does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Log Horizon,
But look-
it feels like it focused on all the wrong things. It really did. And I'm not up to date. I'm back on like episode 10 or 11. I can't remember which. Maybe it's even farther back than that. But point is, yeah, Angst Horizon, all the jokes that we made about it, they're pretty valid. It's not much to look at, but maybe these final episodes, maybe.
No.
I mean, I guess what we can be thankful that we had a decent first season, and then the second season.
Yeah.
Maybe in the end we'll get something. Because to be fair, they introduced some really fun characters and interesting
Well, I'll be
characters, but
curious
just never
if we
got
get a
around to
third.
it.
So will I. I mean, it is kind of
I don't
popular.
know what the sales figure were like, but
The light novels
Obviously.
do pretty well, but that doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
mean that the anime is going to keep going if it does badly.
Well, I know that at the very least, and this is like no indicator whatsoever, but it's usually pretty popular on the Crunchyroll feed. So,
Yeah,
sadly we're not the main target audience.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So yeah,
well, that's just like that's the only way
Yeah.
I can judge it because I don't know anything else. But
Well, there's
Yeah, we'll have to look at
DVD.
some
We'll be
stalker
we'll be
figures.
seeing the Blu-ray and DVD sales sooner or later here out of Japan. So.
Yeah, we'll see the stalker figures eventually from Amazon come out at least. They're a general good idea. But that's Log Horizon 2. Sadly, doesn't live up to season 1. essentially,
No.
is the label on the tin, the canon in this case.
Yeah.
Right. It's a shame, really. It's a real shame. But it does lead us to one of the newer series that seems to garner a lot of positive reception, which is Saekano.
Always.
David, would you like to introduce the series for us?
But of course, because I always have the fun show every season.
Clearly.
Yeah.
It's a good thing you got assigned it.
Anyway, Saekano is, of course, as you wrote it during the collab, didn't you, Proton? Or was
I did.
it? Yes, you did. And you
No, yeah,
described
it
it
was me.
as exactly what it looks like, and people got mad at you. And I'm going to say, it's exactly what it looks like, and that's what it's exactly trying to look like. Okay, get over it, people.
yeah, I know they got so. It was sad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a
If you want
romantic
to,
it's a romantic comedy harem show that is on the famed how do you say it? Notamina block? I don't remember. It's animation
It's
backwards.
animation backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, no Tamina is more or less it.
I just don't know how you say it. That's the point. Anyway,
That's-
it's on the
that's fine.
famed
I thought it was
Notamina.
Notamina or something like that.
Who cares? Notamina block.
I don't know.
Which it means that it's going to be awesome, and it is awesome because it is a gigantic parody on visual novels, dating sims, romantic comedies, harems, and pretty much everything. Missed anything so far?
Like
Eriri's the best girl.
Okay, I'm going to dispute that.
Here we go.
Uta is the best
This
girl,
is-
okay?
The first
This is the gang we're going
Yeah.
for.
So,
yes, episode 0 started off with a hot springs episode that was discussing
Yeah.
about fan
Yes.
service. It was
Yeah,
the greatest thing ever.
that's the best opening I've ever seen. They're just sitting there talking about, is this fan service necessary? Yes.
Yeah, it was literally like, they're like, modern day anime is just being ruined by all the insane fan service.
Mm-hmm.
I know. And then they're sitting there in the bath naked.
Yeah, and censor steam required, of course.
Yeah, well, and the best part was then Tomoya's like listening in, and then but the reason that he's upset is because they're talking about like their visual novel they're making without him.
Mm-hmm.
that was funny.
Yeah. So yeah, without further ado, the show is of course, like they said, about the male character Tomoya, and he is just a, I guess you could say, an otaku school student, just like they always are. And what he wants to do is, one day he gets the inspiration to make the best dating sim ever. So, he decides to get together a team, which includes some very nice-looking girls from all around the school, who include the childhood friend who draws H novels. Oh my. A young novelist who he reads the doujins of, basically, the novels of, and completely plain girl.
Well, they're actually published, right?
I think,
She is published.
I think,
published, so they're
I think
not
her most.
She's just a normal.
I thought she's a light novel writer.
Legit,
Her most recent ones
Yeah,
are
legit light
published, yeah,
novels.
but I don't know. I think her first ones were doujins. Doesn't matter. Point here
Anyway,
is,
yeah, she's a writer. Yeah.
she's a writer and she is published. And of course we have the completely normal girl who basically this whole thing revolves around Megumi Kato, and just like the title says, it's about making a game out of the most boring person ever, but making it awesome.
Except she's not really boring because she's kind of like a normal person looking into the weird world of otaku and then making fun of it every second she can.
And that's
She's
part of the
blunt
joke.
about everything.
'Cause she's nothing like what you would expect out of a dating sim visual novel sort of thing, and that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
It's making a dating sim that's supposed to be like that out of someone who isn't, and it's awesome. So, I mean, what kind of episodes we've had? We've had the Hot Springs episode where they went self-referential. We've had, I think it was in the first episode, not the Zeroth, the first one, where the main character, Tanamiya, starts going on a monologue about all of the characters, and then suddenly the Uta goes, "What are you doing? Nobody wants to listen to you do a long monologue about the characters. That's the most boring way to do it." It's just non-stop.
And she's referring to like the writing.
Yeah.
But it's
It's good. It all makes sense in universe, but it all makes sense out of universe, and that's the beauty of it. What other fun stuff has been in it? You guys can
The
chime
latest
in.
episode threw a kohai in.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
yes,
true.
I haven't seen the latest one. I was meaning to watch
no,
that.
no, I haven't seen the latest one. So
The episode before that with the whole hotel scene, that was amusing.
The hotel scene was amazing
was
because
so
that's
good.
best girl right there. That is best girl.
now, sadly, I am not on this board, on this train of fun. On Saekano. I actually, it's rare. You find it rare for me to dislike an anime. Like you would struggle to find a list that I have for dislike animes I don't really particularly enjoy. Now, Saekano, while there is like 1/10 of it I kind of enjoy, and if anything, that's just normal comedy, and the quote unquote meta humor for me it's just I mean, obviously comedy's subjective, but after having this is now probably 8 years of this idea of a meta humor, for me this is nothing new, and it's just not funny because it feels for me so outdated and so overused for me.
It's not new, but it's still entertaining. Like I can watch.
That's the thing. I feel like it's been done done better and so many times everywhere else that for me it doesn't work now, you know, and it's just it plays on something that is just essentially better, but like there's only so much you can take before it becomes for me obnoxious. It's like, great, I'm now watching what seems to be a poor, like, I feel like this is when you write meta humor, it becomes that stage where I feel like it's just a poor level effort at creating comedy almost to a stage. At least with other shows, they incorporate another idea of it and then make it something completely new out of it. In this case, we've essentially have got nothing that I would say that's any further interesting or entertaining because of its level of meta humor they've tried to incorporate and slam into me, ham-fisted, and it just doesn't work for me at all. Like, you got the one or two occasional laugh I'll have, but a lot of the times I find it more cringeworthy than it is funny when they produce these lines. Especially a lot of like what you mentioned before, when they try to introduce all the new characters or talk about how Hot Springs episodes shouldn't include. Well, in Hot Springs they talk about fan service and anime. For me, it just didn't work at all. And I nearly did a 360 and walked away from it. Well, 180 even, and walked away from the show. So it was that bad for me, really.
I don't think it's trying to do anything new, though. It's a generic harem show that does it well. Like, it does it well. Even if it's not new, I still enjoy it. And I've seen Love Hina and all that stuff. I've seen this done before, but I still enjoy it. And that's why people like it, because it's done well. It doesn't have to be new to be good. I mean, how many action shonen shows have we had? They're nothing new. But,
true, but like when the main purpose, like the main draw of this show is the meta comedy, and if that doesn't work, personally, I feel like I could just go elsewhere.
Then there's the harem side on it too. So,
like Ian said, humor is subjective. So if it might not work. I can see Saekano not working for everyone. I personally enjoy it, but I can. It's there are just going to be people that's not what they're not looking for that, so they're not going to like it.
I mean, I'm all for one for meta comedy. Like, I mean, obviously Suzumiya being one of the greatest that we've seen, and that featured brilliant meta commentary on the state of light novels, anime, and what have you. And I think that's one of the ways, such a great way to do it. Rather, in here, I mean, again, I'm all 144. It's just, it feels to me just so ham-fisted and just poorly incorporated into the show.
It's not poorly incorporated at all. It is not poorly done at all. I'm really enjoying it. We're all really enjoying it. Well, everyone except you, Fruity.
Yeah. Exactly. And, I mean,
I can see why you don't like it, but saying it's poorly done, I just can't agree on that.
Well, if we look at for other shows of what that you might have seen, Sonar Zubetsu, Panny Pony Dash, Lucky Star, even. I mean, to a degree, Bakemono Gari.
I'm just gonna say here that Lucky Star. I think Saekano is a lot better than Lucky Star because there is a plot driving it. It's not just a slice of life.
I gotta say,
but this is in terms of its meta comedy, right?
Just on the last thing you mentioned. No, you don't compare Bakemonogatari to Saekano. You don't.
But you're not. You gotta look past the idea. I mean, the Bakemonogatari, they deconstruct. They're just literally talking about characters, and if you just look past it, it's almost just a commentary on characters themselves, right?
Well, Bakemonogatari had the whole conversational thing going with it. Bakemonogatari's draw was not the meta humor, but the character interactions, the conversations, the writing itself. It wasn't the meta humor.
No, but
they're not comparable.
You can't. So, example, the ability to lie, the courage to lie. It's obviously just a meta comedy when characters are being just so dumbfoundedly stupid and dense. The time with Nadeko with what's his name, Araragi. About the little sister types of character, and even the little sister arc series. What's it called now? Nisei Monogatari. You've obviously on the face of it isn't, but it's like saying zombie films. Well, zombie films are just action films, when in reality zombies could represent famine or poverty or whatnot, and that's the idea. You've got to just somehow look past it. That's why I said to a degree Bakemonogatari, if you decide to actually look into what they're actually saying and break it down. But again, that's just one of the examples I said was you could on a limb. But it's just for me, Saekano isn't. It's just not that good. For me, it's like.
There's the difference between not that good and I don't enjoy it. Yeah. Because I don't think Saekano quality-wise is bad. But I can see why you don't enjoy it, but saying the show is bad is... it's done well. And I just...
Yeah.
I mean, could be one of those things for you where I could see it as it's so bad it's good. And that's how I might interpret it.
Okay.
But at the moment, it's for me, it is...
It's just not your cup of tea.
It could be that, but I've enjoyed the other bits and bobs of it. But it's like, I guess, like if you think about it as a cake, right? And I love my food analogies. There's always got to be food here, right? I might just like the strawberry on top, and I just hate the rest of the cake. And and because of that, I would just say that the cake is basically terrible, right? Past the strawberry.
Well, going on your cake analogy, if you put cake on a chocolate cake, and if you don't like chocolate cake, then you'll think it's bad, but that doesn't mean chocolate itself is bad. It just means you don't like chocolate.
But I'm not saying I don't like chocolate though. I enjoy the meta comedy in previous shows.
Okay,
That's how it is.
we're severing the food discussion out of here before I get hungry.
I know. I am aware. I am in the minority in the sense of the people who don't enjoy Saekano, but I feel it has to be said anyway because eventually we need some diversity here anyway in terms of shows.
I think anime as of late has had a lot of diversity. I mean, ever since Titan and SAO came out, we've been seeing a lot of different shows, recently, I think last season, we've had so many fantasy shows, and the season before was completely different. We've had a lot of variety in anime as of late, and I don't think that's an issue.
No, as in us. With what we like.
Like our opinions on the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all important. That's not the point here.
That's a whole other topic anyway, as well.
Yeah. I definitely think Saekano is good, and I like it, and I admit it, I like my meta humor. I like it a lot. I like it when writers just put out there and say, here, you guys expected this? Here, I'm going to talk about why you expected it. And it's kind of satisfying to see a writer get back at the audience every once in a while. I don't know why. It just is. But, yeah. So, it isn't for everybody, but I like it, and I love my meta humor. So if you like meta humor, this show's for you. If not, I guess not.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of why Thursdays of this season is just so awesome for me.
Speaking of Thursdays
Saekano's
this saving season, it, yep. Speaking of Thursdays.
Well, no.
You mean, for me, it's light novel Thursdays, I call it. No, I kid.
Yeah.
I want to segue into the next show because it's also on the same day.
Well, we can do that.
If you want to do it, would you like to?
The next two shows are on the same day.
I didn't know they're on the same. I don't watch them on the day they come out, so I wouldn't know.
You can go check Annie calendar. Just kidding. Let's just move on. Yeah, I have nothing else to say about Saekano.
Shameless plug.
So, well, that's more or less buried the hatchet on Saekano then.
Yeah. Buried Ken's hatchet. I just kind of threw a hatchet at him.
Sure. That leads us to Your Line April of Michael. You could introduce the show.
Yep. All right. So, Your Line April, which if you're not watching it, I suggest you watch it. Even if you're not going to like it, you should watch it. Is about, so there's a pianist. His name is Kosei Arima. And when he was an absolutely amazing child prodigy pianist. And his mother would push him to practice all the time. And then she dies, and he has kind of like a disconnect with the music and has a panic attack on the stage and can no longer play the piano. And so then a girl comes into his life, Kaori, and she reintroduces music to his life because she's a violinist. And she does not believe that he should let go of the piano. And it's about the whole, sharing intimate moments in music with other people and the relationships between the characters, and it's really good.
Right, there you go.
I have two things to say. First, Arima, seriously, pronunciation, it's Arima. Kosei Arima.
I think we don't care about that after David's Akiba moments. Yeah. With Log Horizon earlier. So carry on.
Yeah, and that was I know how to pronounce the name,
second,
but I was saying it.
And second.
Okay. Second, you know how when we were talking about earlier in the episode, Proton, you said that this was one of your top 3.
Yes.
This show is so good that it's fluctuating in my top 10 back and forth and back and forth. It's just that good. I'm really enjoying it, and it's been fluctuating on my list, so...
So we have the improving words of Michael and Kevin.
Well, I mean, that I know how to pronounce the name. I was just, as I'm saying it, if I'm I don't know, pressure.
Look, he was lying, and it's almost April, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, technically, he's called Friend B. I believe, but, we can look past the details.
I'll just assign them all numbers.
Wasn't it friend A?
I thought it was friend B because if the childhood friend is friend A, I thought she was since she's the one who's friends with what's her name, Kaori.
Was it friend B?
I thought if the childhood friend is
friend A.
Okay.
Discussion.
Okay. New rule.
Yeah, new
rule on the podcast. We're assigning everybody letters on shows so that we don't have to think about this too much.
But yeah, I think we might have touched on this series a couple of episodes back when it first aired in winter. Autumn, right? I think it aired in
it started airing in autumn, so I think we touched on it either at the beginning.
But it was only halfway through the core, I believe. So obviously now we've got we finally finished the first arc, or the first core of it, and now we're halfway through the second.
Yeah. Speaking of when we talked about it originally, Ken, you made a really good call on this show.
I did?
Like, yeah.
Sorry. You might want to run it back to me.
Okay, so, when we were doing these shows that we were expecting to be good during fall, you bring up this one.
Oh, I think I was lucky enough to grab it. I think I was one of the fair. I was lucky to grab it, if anything.
Yeah. You made a good call on this one because it's been really great.
Yeah, I think so far what we've seen so far is pretty mid-notch stuff. But has anyone noticed that these are middle school kids? Has anyone tricked themselves to keep thinking
middle school? What is this?
I have to keep it down and just thinking to myself, just imagine the high school kids. It's just a lot easier, Ken.
Well, you know,
it's no way.
Middle schoolers show up in the strangest places in anime and visual novels.
But it's some of the stuff they say. I feel to myself, I don't. Who says what middle schooler says that sort of thing? Jeez, I just every now and then just trick myself. They're in high school. Don't worry about it.
Just remember, in Strike the Blood, the main girl is a middle schooler, so the subtext in that one was great.
Yeah, I can't believe I watched that.
Again, they show up at middle school. I guess they're just high schoolers in Japan. Who knows? Yeah. Anyway.
So this is the arc now where I guess we're dealing with the loss. Well, I say loss as in she's not as central to the show now of Kaori. Would that be fair to say? Since this is now, we're going to spoil this territory now. Since she got admitted to hospital, we're now seeing how Kosei copes again with what seems to be almost another loss. These are my conjecture now.
I think her role has become significantly more symbolic because she's still there and she still is there as a character, but a lot of his drive is now focused on just her symbolic egging him on and so on. So it's less of her physically being there and instead of her more emotionally being there for him.
Less beating him upside the head with a baseball bat. Sorry, I always bring that up.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
he goes to the hospital and she throws things at him. So there's still the physical beating up element.
Good old double standards.
It's quite obvious that Kaori is clearly taking the same position. Well, not obviously replacing, but at the same state of Arima's mother. Right. Yeah. It's quite clear that they're both the reason why he got obviously the mum taught him how to play, then Kaori got him back into playing. Now he's going to have to deal with the loss. Well, I haven't seen the latest episode, nor can I say what happens in the future. But I'm now assuming that Kaori will die. I think it seems to be geared that way.
Yeah.
Well, the genre is tragedy.
Exactly. So it's quite clear they're trying to do that and then trying to show the evolution of him to learn how to cope now with loss. And I think what was the teacher called? The one that now looked after him ever since he lost his mum. The one with the adorable South Park kid art style. Essentially she's I guess what she said. I think one of her lines is that she's worried that Arima can only become the greatest through the tragic loss of people close to him. And it's I don't know if if they decide to go down that route. Then we'll see how it unfolds. But it definitely seems to be geared towards that direction.
I suppose.
I don't know what the kid. I don't know what her name is, but her child looks exactly like this kid's in the South Park. The dot the eyes and a line for a mouth, and it's just every time I see her, I'm just she's incredibly adorable. But all that reminds me of is the South Park kids, and I remember what they say in South Park. I'm that doesn't. Those two don't connect too well in terms of your line April. Mm-hmm. But I am I'm really happy about Line April. It stays really high production value in terms of performances. Thank God they actually attempt to keep animating some of the performances. Clearly they still skip the people who don't care, but for the actual moments in the series where it should matter, when they play the instruments, at least it's still being well animated to a degree.
Yeah, I think I said this before in the past, but I cannot imagine not watching this show.
Yeah,
like because the performances are just so great.
Unfortunately, I guess you have to look at me in that case because I'm behind.
Well, I'm talking about versus manga.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can definitely there's such an emphasis on music in the show. If you're reading the manga, I think the anime is just gonna be the definitive version. Like end of story. I don't think you can really discuss which one's better because in the anime has the actual music, and you have to have the music. You have to be able to hear it when to fully understand what's going on.
Oh, I didn't know its origins was the manga.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it's a manga.
Very interesting.
It's not done yet.
Like the emotion that comes with
finished.
the atmosphere, the emotion, everything. It did.
Oh,
It's just everything the music does. It just does it. It adds so much to the story. It just adds so much. I can't. Going without it, that would be hard.
And I mean the soundtrack, even on top, like the musical performances, absolutely. But another thing that really helps is they are really good at using their soundtrack, which is, by the way, outstanding, as well as the actual performances themselves. So, which I will literally have it playing all the time. It was very well done.
Right, yeah, it's definitely. I mean, you would hope it would be anyway. When the key theme might be music with musicians. But yeah, it's that as well. It is accompanied by relative, clever usage of animation as well. Clever, because I've seen the odd CGI weird wonkiness and flukes, but it's at least covered up well and blemished over. So it's a good job anyway they've done so far to keep it two cores. But I had that the manga finish. I don't know if it's trying to coincide with the anime as well. I don't know how far in the anime it is with the manga.
I'm not 100% sure, although I do know that the anime is planning on adapting the full story. So.
Okay, so would that be season 2 on the cards, or the second and more course? Could be.
No, I think they're going to conclude it in the next 3 episodes because it's 22 episodes.
Can they? Do you think they can?
I think that they could. I mean, it's.
Oh, so they're far enough into the manga then, in fairness.
I believe so. I'm not the expert on this. This is the time where I'd be like, hey, Fatalis.
Fatalis.
Hey, Estevalis.
Right. Any manga reader here anyway, that would be great, yeah.
I'm not reading that manga, so sorry.
I haven't really gotten to any mangas. But yeah, it's. I didn't know it was actually that close to in terms of manga content. So wait, it's only got. I guess we might get an air episode, like an OVA special that really does finish it off, or maybe like an aftermath. But yeah, I could see it ending as well. It seems close. It seems awfully close to the end. If you know what I mean.
They'll try.
Yeah, I mean it's not that hard to.
Maybe they'll have an OVA.
It's not that hard to kill off characters.
We'll see. My guess is that it will kind of. Like the grand finale kind of deal will be when the two of them both end up performing on stage for the last time, and then I assume that she probably dies soon after.
Oh, I was thinking. Maybe like Birdman style. Have you guys seen Birdman the movie?
I have not.
Oh, okay. Well,
I want to.
Oh, it's a fantastic film, and I don't want to spoil it, so never mind that then.
It was at the Oscars. I already know enough.
Fair enough.
Apparently, the Academy guys at the Oscars did not know enough about all their shows, though.
Well, yeah, we had our whole animation thing.
Yeah.
That was good or bad, depending on
but
how you look
overall,
at it.
though, it's fair to say, into its second core, your line April still going really strong.
I'm reserving my judgment until the end. We'll see.
Fair enough, yeah. So that leads us with the other show that has a sequel.
The other show.
Like Hog Horizon. Yes, like Hog Horizon. And that is Tokyo Ghoul Square Root A, I believe.
The show that I'm supposed to be introducing but is several episodes behind.
Well, you gotta play with the cards that got dealt with, Kevin.
Yes, I do.
Well, I can start for you. It's the direct continuation of the last season.
Yes. it continues where it really should have, because episode 12 is not an ending. I don't care if the season stops there. It is not an ending.
Well, yeah, they just pulled a Log Horizon, not Log Horizon, Code Geass on us, episode 25, Lelouch and Suzuka are about to shoot each other, and then it cuts, and we've got to wait a whole year. That essentially, don't forget.
I am so glad I didn't have to wait.
So let's not forget
that.
At least with Tokyo Ghoul, these guys, I say these guys, we only had to wait a single season before we got it back. So let's not forget that, right?
And it's not following the manga at all, because even its name hints that it isn't following the manga.
Yeah.
It's Route A. It's a special route for the anime, because anime has routes.
Yeah, the obnoxious special character that broke any calendar. No, not kidding. That fucking square root symbol.
Seriously, that is a horrible name. I'm just gonna say that right here. Square Root A? What were you thinking?
Yeah, I've been making fun of it every chance I get. It's been great.
No, I for one actually don't mind that it doesn't follow the manga. Well, mainly because I don't know if I haven't read the manga, so I don't know what the difference is. So
it would be fine if it was good.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that along with Kagamega Kill, it actually got an original anime ending, because God forbid we have to survive another cliffhanger / half-ass ending where we some ambiguous ending where they might smoke out a sequel out of us. At least the anime ended it where it should have been with a Kagamega Kill. With Tokyo Ghoul, I'm under the assumption that the manga might be still ongoing. The fact that
no, the manga ended.
They started. It's called Re or whatever. It's.
Oh, Hamatora started. Okay.
Yeah, they essentially stopped it, and they're like, "That's the end, guys." And then 3 weeks later, they announced that they were going to pick it up with a new sequel series. So I think that the logic is marketing. I'm not 100% sure though, because I'm not the
anime is just a marketing tool. That's not. I mean, anyway, let's not get into that. But yeah, I mean, I'm all for one happy that at least if we get an anime original. Well, I don't know if that's the real term right here, but anime version of it, because it's much it just might be altogether better alternative than actually going through the manga again and then saying, oh, this is the ending of the manga, and then another ambiguous ending, season 2 or 3 on the cards. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm still waiting for season 3 on Spice and Wolf, but I don't know if that'll ever come around. So
hey, we're getting the light novels, and they're coming fast. Okay, not fast.
Because that will offer closure. That will offer that much closure for me. So
it does, since it ends.
True, but I don't play visual novels, so that's basically...
It's a light novel. You can read them.
Oh, I don't read light novels.
Okay, there is no pleasing this man.
I'm just saying, until Horizon comes over, which it never will, that's when I'll start my light novel career. But till then... But I think while the argument that people don't like it for the fact that it detracts from the manga, I really don't see it as a problem. But in terms of what we're actually getting out of the series, it's a bit iffy. I'm not sure what's really going on in Tokyo Ghoul.
And that's the problem. They want you not to know what's going on in Tokyo Ghoul. And I think I mentioned this because I had a little write up on it earlier this week. They literally, what the entire driving style for the writing is, they will have something happen and make it so they purposely make it so you don't know why things are happening, and then they explain why, why this is occurring later after it's happened, and they do that all the time.
Right, yeah. That's not to say that's not a bad thing, because I mean, obviously other series have done that anyway.
Yeah, well, it's not, in and of itself, it's not bad. The problem is, I think they do it way too much in this show, because I just never know what's going on until after it happens for anything. So, and that's definitely bothered me, at least.
In fairness, you could say the same about Yuri Kuma, a show we discussed last episode, and any other shows of that similar caliber.
Reminds me of Higurashi a lot, where literally the first season never gave you any answers at all, but the second season was complete answers. It was the answer arcs. So
I'm surprised. I haven't seen Higurashi, but that looks way too gruesome for me personally.
Higarashi's too gruesome.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I can't remember. I think
it's a better mystery than horror. Horror doesn't really do well in animation.
Yeah.
Not really.
But especially when you sense everything, like Tokyo Ghoul, for example, where all I see is bars of black. I'm like, oh, Bars of Black, my favourite anime. And Parasite as well. Parasite's now gotten to that stage where Bars of Black everywhere. I'm like, oh, it's a good thing I see that bits of the corridor that's in purple. Thanks. But it's heavily censored as always, Tokyo Ghoul Route A. It's even the introduction of new characters, I feel like it's gone far left wing or right wing either way, and it's quite a difficult show to try and ascertain what it wants to be. Like, on one hand, it wants to be like this interesting mystery. On the other hand, it's like action everywhere. Quickly, ghoul on ghoul, or detective. Well, that sounds awful now. Ghoul versus ghoul, and inspector versus inspectors and stuff. I'm like, there's a lot of stuff going on, and none of it really like matters. Like, none of it feels like it resonates with any of the plot going on at this stage. You know?
Yeah,
it's just
that's pretty disappointing. I mean, I originally watched Tokyo Ghoul because I was really interested in like the social aspects of the show, like how they related with the other people and like how these ghouls had, like how Kaneki had to deal with the ghouls.
Yeah,
but that's not here, and that's kind of depressing to me.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of the first season too, and it's literally non-existent.
I feel like that's not needed now because in fairness, it's the idea is that you bring up the tension between these two races. I think it's fair to say.
Except it's not compelling anymore, and that's why I'm not caught up with it because there's nothing that keeps me watching.
Now, yeah,
I think.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah. I think that's actually happening with a lot of people. A lot of my friends who are watching it aren't continuing to watch it because it's not compelling at all. There's nothing to keep you watching in Tokyo Ghoul Route A. Right,
yeah. I think you're right in that.
That's my biggest issue with it, actually.
Yeah. I think the reason why it might be, I'm not saying it's a defense for it, I think it's because the way it's, I assume the reason why they were adapting the manga the first half, and then the second half they're going to go anime only, right? I assume it's because of the narrative change. While the reason for this first half, first half is mainly world building, right? The idea that all ghouls or humans are afraid of ghouls and ghouls want to eat, well, you got this different type of ghouls and such. So you obviously get the tension and world building in that aspect. The second half, I feel, might be this idea that we have to follow, well, I'd like to say we follow Kaneki, but we actually don't. We follow no one. So we follow these other characters in like a Durara style, Bakano style, where we follow Kaneki, we follow the Inspector, we follow Torka for some reason, but for the odd episode here or there, and you know, and what's the cafe group called? I can't remember.
Anteku or something.
We got to follow all these 4 different aspects now because they introduced all these other different factors in the previous season that we now, for the second season, we have to follow all of them individually, which might cause the reason why we don't know. You know, it's quite hard to tell what's going on because in the first season we literally just followed Kaneki. He was our proxy into the series. You know, He was the one who we would follow, and he's our exposure to the world. Now it's like Kaneki's headed into the dark because he's the new like badass member of the group, and he's now apparently grown these amazing powers, which I don't really understand how, because he literally got beaten up and then got stronger, like the shonen style way of his character improvement.
It felt very shoehorned to me.
It's one of those. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say. It's one of the point like I was making earlier. We don't know why he's getting more powerful until they like explain it later. Because what's actually going on is he's cannibalizing ghouls, and he ate Jason.
Right. Yeah.
And that's how he's gaining those powers. Now we don't know that for a few episodes. We just know that he's somehow becoming more and more powerful. We find that out later.
Yeah, I think again it does. They do like finally hint out. Wait, is he trying out this? And it's like, oh, then if that's the case, how come this other guy isn't like incredibly powerful? I think what's it, Gourmet? Like, isn't he? It means if we're gonna follow these rules, your own like rules you've given us in the series, shouldn't Gourmet be like one badass motherfucker? Like he should be one fabulous destroyer.
Hasn't the show in general had a bad like record of following its own rules?
I remember. Yeah, well, what I will say about the Gourmet is he does only eat humans. He just likes Kaneki because Kaneki has that interesting smell because he's half human and half ghoul. Yeah, he doesn't usually eat ghouls.
I wouldn't be surprised if he has eaten ghouls before. Like, he clearly. I mean, true. I'm just saying, like, he's heavily hinted at that he's also tried out a bit of cannibalism.
What you're saying is that he has bi subtext. Sorry.
Yeah. That's
And as I noticed, the animation quality in it actually just dropped horrifically at some points. Oh, I say at some points. I think the first 5 episodes, it was choppy. A lot of it was choppy. And the whole fight, when they tried to conclude the fight scene inside the prison, it looked not good at all. and then clearly they avoided other fights since for a while. And it just, I don't know if anyone else knows that, but it looked god awful. The change from season 1 to this now has been quite stark.
Yeah, I mean, now that I think about it, that's probably true. I mean, like I said before, I'm the kind of guy, if the animation isn't absolutely horrible or absolutely amazing, I'm usually, like, if it comes up, I'll be like, oh, yeah, but I'm not going to think about it or put too much thought into it on my own, so.
Yeah.
This season hasn't been kind to animation quality in general. Like, gosh, Durada had its horrific episode, Dean's Log Horizon 2, then Tokyo Ghoul. Jeez, this just season not happy. Animation quality is just not there. Well, it is winter.
Yeah,
so.
It's the winter season. I was about to say we had it last year. If you remember the Pilot's love song last year, one funny thing is the opening looked really horrible at first, and by the end it looked great. You go back and look, it happened.
I'm actually more surprised it's been a year. I don't remember talking about this. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, I'm just saying it happened there too. I mean, it was the opening in that show was really choppy, but over the next few episodes they improved it gradually. So it happens every winter. It seems like you have your choppiness in the animation, and it really is kind of the dumping ground for everything that they didn't want to put in fall. Which is probably the truth.
It's essentially, yeah. If you want to avoid the big 4 series, throw your stuff into winter, and you'll probably get a better chance of selling and get a better viewership. Because in fairness, I mean, if you want to talk about just in terms of the raw level of animation, what seems to be quite solid is Idolmaster. Surprising, well, obviously,
yeah.
Like you obviously got to put your money. There's not much heavily involved there, and CGI is huge.
I don't know about not heavily involved, but yeah, it's certainly straightforward enough compared to some of this stuff. I think it's probably more, or Tokyo Ghoul is probably more involved with the eating people rather than the dancing around a stage. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Well, that's true. But yeah, I mean, fairness, Tokyo Ghoul has got some redeeming factors in the sense they've actually introduced some more fun characters. You know, we've got the dead dude's daughter. She's pretty fun. In fairness, you got the kid who with the scythe. Can't remember his name now. You can tell I really pay attention.
It's the dead guy's child, the guy with the scythe. I like this.
Yeah.
Let's keep it up.
Yeah, I know, right? They're pretty fun introductions, and then I guess there's that other dude. I don't know. That's actually about it, really. So
I was hoping for more awesome descriptions out of Fruity. Make a series out of that.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
A series of that? That's the beginning of. That's like the prepped part of every episode. That's your series.
That's true enough.
But yeah, it's not my fault. Tokyo Ghoul doesn't make compelling. I can't remember Japanese names that well. I mean, it's not my first tongue. So
yeah, me too. I understand.
Yeah,
but seriously, Scythe
Ghoul.
Guy, yes.
Yeah, he's literally a scythe guy. He just literally has a scythe. Well, I don't know how else to describe him. Well, scythe boy technically, but
Scythe boy.
Tiny facts. But yeah, Tokyo Ghoul Route 8 again might be under the same label as Log Horizon, which is sadly doesn't shine as well as its predecessor season.
Mm.
But I wasn't a bigger fan of this first season in the first place, so I guess in the end I'm not that disappointed. I don't know if that's a win or a loss. It's hard to tell.
Well,
all right, that does in the end finishes our first segment of ongoing anime this winter. I keep forgetting it's a winter because obviously it's February now. Well, March now. It's hard to think it's still winter. And we've decided our topic and agreed on. I want to point out is that our topic is that what's your favorite musically themed / infused anime moments? And I've allowed OSTs and single scenes and sound effects because it's a lot easier to go for.
Yeah.
Right. And so with that question in mind, and obviously this is in tie-in with April, your line April, because it's, to be fair, music is one of the key draws into the anime, and so other series have done it similarly. So we go with Kevin.
Oh,
I know it's not
Okay.
So Kevin,
I just love how you just randomly throw the order out of control.
Technically,
like, hey, we're going in order the first time.
Technically,
it's like no.
Technically, I never said this part was in order. I always throw people out on the limb here.
Yeah.
So
okay, I took this to be more of an let's talk about the OSTs I am a fan of instead of specific moments. So I listed shows that I generally have a fondness for the soundtrack.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I actually pay attention to the soundtracks a lot more than most people. Like most people, like I nitpick about the sound a lot. So these are like my examples of sound used well, because that's rarely a thing. And first off, we have Code Geass, my favorite anime of all time. But every time something happens, they play an amazing track, and it's used super well. Code Geass' soundtrack is just phenomenal. It builds you up. It just sounds great, and it does it well. Like, just it's hard to count how many powerful moments are due to the music, because every powerful moment is due to the music. It's just done so well. One of my favorites, personally, is in Season 2 when they broke Toto out of the jail. But every part there, the soundtrack is just phenomenal, and I love it. I'm a big fan.
Spoiler alert, by the way, if you're watching Code Geass Season 2.
It's like a decade old.
Yeah, well, it's not that old.
It's like in 2008.
It's almost a decade old.
It is, yeah, it's 9 years from the first season. So.
9 years, jeez. I need to stop watching anime.
Yeah.
Anyway, would you like to carry on with your choices?
Is it? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. Next is what is quite possibly my favorite soundtrack of all time. Yes, I'm going with best favorites, blah, blah, blah. But I really do love Kara no Kyoukai by Ufotable soundtrack. Yuki Kajira did an amazing job with this. I'd probably bring up Kara no Kyoukai a lot, but one thing that's always got me about Kara no Kyoukai was just how amazing the soundtrack is. I know it's pretty subjective. A lot of people don't really like Yuki Kajira's sound, but I really do, and the way they use it is just phenomenal here. Sprinter, in particular, is just so good, and yeah. Well, I also want to mention that the soundtrack's naming scheme makes absolutely no sense, so that's a thing.
That's good. Yeah,
I think that's always been a joke for some composers, I've always thought.
Yeah.
Especially Sawano Hiroyuki.
If you remember, we did the cafe back there where we asked people this question, right? Panama Punk agrees with you about Kara no Kyoukai. So, someone out there agrees with you.
They're not alone. They're not alone.
You're not alone.
I'm not alone.
You're not alone. He thinks it's his favorite as well.
And do you have one more on the list? I remember you writing.
Yes, but it is not an anime. It is a visual novel.
Boom!
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We always break the rule here. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. It's close enough. I mentioned the rewrite in particular because two of the people involved I am really big fans of. Jun Mayada Key in general. He did a stellar job with Clannad, and I think he did an even better job with Rewrite. The artist who sings a lot of the songs, Yanagi Nagi, is an amazing artist, and I just love her voice.
It's true.
It is
very
true. I mentioned that in the cafe. It is super true. Very true. Rewrite's soundtrack is just great. It is so atmospheric, but it's atmospheric in a good way, and it's just so great to listen to. It's the soundtrack I go to the most. Like, I have something to do, I want to listen to something, I'll click on the Rewrite soundtrack first and foremost. I mean, Kara no Kyoukai is a better soundtrack, but Rewrite's is more it fits better with every scenario, and that goes to the game too. It really works well in the game, and there's a lot of scenes in particular that just use the music so well. Like, I like the opening of the game in particular with it's just done so well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've listened to the OP.
Sounds good. All right, so then let's switch up then with Michael.
All right, we're on to me next. Okay. The first one that I have was Terror and Resonance, and I think the soundtrack was probably the best thing the show had going for it. And I'm not saying that it was like a terrible show. The soundtrack was amazing, so that doesn't mean. And the show was a mixed bag in general, but the soundtrack, that was, whenever they utilized the soundtrack perfectly, those were the best moments. Like and the composer was Kano Yoko, and she did a really good job. Yoko
Kano cannot do wrong. She does great stuff.
Yeah, and And I think my favorite part was the whole motorcycle scene when they had, yeah.
I knew. I think God, you picked it up for me because I knew I had fair too many series too. I didn't want to like hold up too many series when I was writing down my list. But the motorcycle scene is fantastically powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was maybe one of like the best scenes in any anime over the summer. I mean, we can get into debates or whatever, but arguably,
it's a standout moment for sure. Yes. It was definitely a standout moment.
And then the second one I had Sword Art Online, and honestly, I think that the reason that Sword Art Online still resonates with me, at least for me personally, I know they're second arc, blah blah blah. With me personally right now, having seen it a while ago at this point, is because the soundtrack was just really good. And even at times when I didn't notice it when I was watching, when I go back and listen to the soundtrack, I'm like, oh my gosh, they played that at this moment. Wait, that's why I liked that moment so much. Because, the entire soundtrack was... it had the mixture, you have Swordland, which is the whole, the epic for all the fight scenes and stuff. But then you also have all those sad tracks that they put for every emotional moment, and I still listen to the soundtrack on my iPod. So...
I thought that SAO was one of Yuki Kaji's weaker soundtracks, actually. But it's pretty good.
It hurts, Kevin. It hurts.
We all have to do it to each other eventually.
I guess. I guess.
Well, you did it to us, Ken. Alright.
If we pass that. Sorry, carry on.
Okay, and the wind out of my sails, it's just gone now, Kevin. It's just gone. You've killed
Kevin.
it.
How could you say it?
Should I put a fan in your room? Okay, I'm done.
Hold on, I've got one.
We now have props on this podcast. Exactly. This is an audio of entertainment, but let's just imagine the fans there for you as well. All right, we're trying to point that out.
All right.
Come on, storm warning. Prepare that storm.
I turned on the fan, but I turned it off because I don't want it to get in my microphone. See, I'm being considerate.
All right.
Good call.
So, okay, moving on. All right, and then the other one, and I think pretty much everyone can chime in on this one. I just have it down on my list. Anything Saekano. Anything.
Yes. He had to be mentioned. I mean,
it does.
We can't go through this without Saekano.
Because, there are people who have these amazing emotional soundtracks, like Kano Yoko. But Saekano is the master of, like, the epic realm of soundtracks. Because everything that he it's just epic. Everything that he... Yeah.
I'll go ahead.
I'm
just going to say that I'm really looking forward to Xenoblade, the new one on the Wii U, because Saekano is doing the soundtrack. It's going to be so amazing.
And that makes me happy and sad at the same time, because actually, and the other one I have on my list, which is technically cheating because she's a video game composer in general, who originally did the first Xenoblade, Yoko Shimomura. She is my favorite video game composer, and she did the first Xenoblade. And she also has done, like, Kingdom Hearts. But she's doing Final Fantasy 15 right now, so she was not able to be there for the next Xenoblade. So now it's Saekano, which I think is a great choice, but I'm still upset that she's not the one doing it, because she's fantastic.
Excellent.
Fair shouts.
And then, alright, and before we switch to someone else, I have to have my customary Baby Metal plug. Raise your kitsunes, guys. Alright, I'm done. You guys can go now.
I was expecting more. Okay.
Yeah, I can give more. By all means. I was trying to be polite. Baby Metal's the best. Queen Suzuka is glorious and also the best metal. No one question it. It's not Moa. It's not Yui. It's Suzuka. Got it, Suzuka. No one complain about Baby Metal. They're the best. All right.
Time to go to Chicago. Okay. Am I right?
Okay. That hurts me, Kevin. That hurts me because I tried so hard to go to Chicago. I tried. And now I can't because of the Latin AP test. And, oh my god.
How fitting that a dead language gets you.
It does. It does. It just comes back. It just keeps coming back. And now I can't go to see Baby Metal live. But I did get their Blu-ray, and I do continue to watch that. They are fantastic. If you like J-pop, if you like metal, you will like Baby Metal. If you don't like Baby Metal, don't tell me because I'll get mad at you. Okay.
Well, really, anyone should at least give a listen to Baby Metal because it's just so out there. It's an experience.
It is. And I'll sometimes have like viewing sessions with the Blu-ray at my house for people that have never seen it will watch it. Even if it's like it's not their thing, you can't help but be impressed because they perform live and the instrumentation is completely on point. The vocals, they're never flat, they're never sharp, they hit everything, and they have those insane dance moves the entire time. So yeah, it's great. It's great. All right. We can move on now.
Easily it's like swapped out the word Baby Metal for anything and then no one would know the difference.
Yeah, I could probably talk about this for a very long time, so I'll be polite and we can move on now.
All right. I'll swap it. I'll take the helm now. Now I thought about it and I've listed I think one too many and I think the ones I have decided on in the end. And they're all pretty. I really do feel they're just fantastic. So I've decided to go. One is Sora no Woto. If anyone knows, I value this show quite high up there. It's probably one that's way too high, but it's one show I adore, and it's a full show that uses saving grace so well in an anime that I didn't know people would bother. It was fantastic, and Sora no Woto was one of those OSTs where everything was like. It's one of those OSTs where you know it's done well when you don't notice it too much, and it just blends in with the series itself, which is fantastic. And you never want a series where the music just overpowers everything else, even though it's an audiovisual entertainment medium. It's got a blend. It needs a balance. And for Sora no Woto, it's certainly one of those series. And some of the French songs in there, I don't know why they're French song in Sora no Woto, but they are there. They're fantastically used as well. And for every time, it's one of those series where the more you watch and rewatch it, is the more you appreciate it and how well it's done. And because of that, I've picked Sora no Woto. Now, the reason, and my second pick, and this is the only reason why it's in, is because I said sound effects are okay, which is C, the money C, which again, I think is one of my top 3 when we did the first episode of the podcast. If you've ever seen the show and you hear that, it's that robotic voice announcer. She's basically anime Siri or anime. What's the robot called in Portal? I can't remember. GLaDOS. Yes, thank you. She's basically anime GLaDOS, right? And anime Claptrap, like all into one, right? It's just so good. Like every time you hear the announce, the amount of money that's being used, and the move type, it is just like a tiny little orgasm in my ear. It's that good. Like honey being poured deep into my head and it's just all in there. And kind of disgusting, but yeah, it's just so good, and it's just every time you see it throughout the series, perfect. I mean, big mad props to the guy who somehow found the right levels and mixed it up all together for C, because it's honestly just one of the great shows there is out there, really. And for my final pick, I've swung in with K-On! Because it has to be said that K-On! Is probably the most rounded, well-used music ever in for me I've seen. Like, from having a band and having the actual real-life bands playing really well, it's just so good. And it's one of those OSTs, again, I think, along with Sora no Woto, it's OSTs so well blended in that you don't notice it at first. But if you do notice it, it's not overpowering. And it's just only on rewatches do you notice how really catchy it is and just how fitting it is for the show and its atmosphere. And because K-On! Is just cute girls doing cute things in a band. So you need good band music. And you need good background music, which is what K-On! Has. That, and it's just really, really good in the sense of its authentic music, in sense of obviously you need the band to sound like it's a band playing, and with that, with K-On! you definitely get. So they are the 3 picks of my answer. And then David, since you're the last of us,
of course,
Gundam
Seed Destiny.
Gundam Seed Destiny is.
Yeah, just to round out the anime portion of this. Gundam Seed Destiny. Bitch all you want about it. I've heard a lot of bitching about it. It's not as bad as you say it is, but I've heard a lot of bitching about it. You cannot bitch about the soundtrack. You cannot bitch on it, and you cannot bitch about Gundam Seed's soundtrack. They're quite possibly some of the best in the series. They're really epic, And of course, they have some really epic moments right in the middle of both of the series where they pretty much bring their awesome music to the very forefront. Lots of good insert music, lots of good background music. I mean, you're just sitting there and nothing's happening, and there's this amazing background music happening. I cannot describe how excellently it's all just composed and put together and directed in Gundam Seed Destiny, because it really does bring the whole thing together a lot better than if it didn't have it. It probably has one of the best anime soundtracks, really. I'm probably going to be posting a few of them in the comments on the article where this is going to be, which I'm sure you guys will be posting stuff too.
Have started.
Yeah.
I wasn't planning on it, but you have just launched an avalanche.
Okay, I'm limiting myself to
no.
2, so you guys limit yourself to 2 as well, alright? Alright.
Oh, crap, I picked like 3 series. How am I going to do that? I pick 3 series?
Well, there's your homework, Ken. Alright, so...
Well, technically, I just do sound effects for one, but oh well.
Yeah, Gundam Seed Destiny had a great soundtrack. I loved it, and it fit the series really well, but unfortunately, it's not my favorite.
Like a hawk.
Yeah, I know. I just built that one up so much, and I'm like, yeah, but it's not that. Yeah, the real thing I wanted to talk about is I honestly was thinking about anime, and I was really going back and forth, but really, there's only one soundtrack that always sticks out at me, and that's Ace Combat 6 in particular. Now, Ace Combat, as actually, I suppose you guys wouldn't know, but some people out there might be listening know. It's a flight simulator arcade series made by Bandai Namco.
I take offense to that. I take offense to that. We've all heard your rambling about Ace Combat 6, and I'm pretty sure some of us here have actually tried it out. So,
yeah, quite possibly. Yeah.
Like, we know it because of you, but if other than
Ace
you,
Combat
we probably
6,
wouldn't know.
I don't think I've ever heard of that. Oh wait, I do recall Dex mentioning it once, or maybe twice, or maybe every couple weeks for the past year.
But you still haven't played it, so...
I have.
Fair
well,
enough.
there.
Fair enough.
We got one person. That's one. Okay. Okay, so the point here, Ace Combat 6 in particular, but I'd just like to extend this to just Keiki Kobayashi, who is the composer of the thing. Keiki Kobayashi started on Ace Combat 4, and he was the basically the head composer for the series until Ace Combat Assault Horizon. And really, Ace Combat would not have been popular if he wasn't composing. Basically, what makes the whole series worth it is the fact that it has some of the best composed music ever created. At least in terms of, how it's put together in the game. That's probably where he came to shine. Each game had a musical motif. Ace Combat 4 had kind of like a rock soundtrack, kind of like a 90s kind of feel to it. Ace Combat 5 kind of extended on that, but added in like orchestral elements. Ace Combat 0 had a Spanish flair to it, but also kept some of the rock elements. Ace Combat 6 had a full orchestral soundtrack, and Ace Combat Assault Horizon went back to its roots and kind of went with a heavy rock feeling. So he really has a massive range that he's worked with, in all honesty, and he's done well with all of it. But really, what was awesome about Ace Combat 6 was how orchestral it was. It's just an epic feeling that you get out of the orchestra, because it is, again, a full orchestra. There's a full choir. There is all of the orchestral instruments. And really, if there's ever been something that made me want to be a fighter pilot, it was not Top Gun, it was Ace Combat and Ace Combat 6, because honest to God, it makes you feel awesome when you're flying, especially when you hit the middle point of the game and you hit like the big set piece song for the whole thing, which basically fulfills this category, Fires of Liberation. It's excellent, and it's quite possibly the best soundtrack I've ever heard, and I really wish I had it on disc, but it's difficult to get your hands on. So there, I'm done.
I find it hard to believe. I mean, Top Gun does have Danger Zone, right? And when
Danger Zone is pussyfooting compared to this.
I don't know, man. Top Gun was a good film, and I like that Danger Zone song. Now, anyway, the benefit of being the open topic subject is that I don't have to hoard all this animes and all the other series, and we can pick other people who've answered to the open topic, and therefore it covers all the bases. And luckily, thank God, we had Zagor. Now he picked two moments. Well, one series and then one moment. If you've watched Chihaya Furia, the one with the character series, series. So anyway, there's a brilliant track that it plays and it pulls heartstrings and it just almost brings me to tears when I remember what happens when that series and when they play that song. And this is one of the, I can't remember the track itself, but there is a single track and it's used for every heartbreaking moment in Chihaya Furia, which is fantastic. Thank you, Zago, for picking it, because otherwise I don't know what I was going to do, because I wasn't going to pick it. And he also picked the Haruhi Suzumiya moment when Haruhi becomes part of a band member. I think, what song is it now? It's like
I have no idea.
I'm now blanking on the actual song name, but it's the one where Haruhi is in the band and they perform in the school festival with Yuki, and that was a really good moment as well. I don't know if you guys remember the one where you've all seen Haruhi Suzumiya, right?
Not me.
No?
Hopefully.
You know the season I'm talking about, right? The one where she goes into a band and she plays, right?
Of course.
Of course he does.
Yeah, right. So sorry, Zago. Clearly, not everyone else has seen these two shows you picked, but don't worry. I saw you. I picked out your comment. So good. Right. Anyway, another comment that I picked up, and a person who's been here before, Fatalis, he picked up Anohana, Secret Base opening. I think that's the opening. You know the one where each beat they change the character to their order form and such.
Yep.
And that's quite a good song, really. It's quite fitting, really. Really quite sad, actually, when you think about.
Well, everything about that show is sad, so.
Well, to be fair, quite rather, but yeah, that's quite a good song, isn't it? Really good pick. None of us picked up as well. Again, this is the benefit of having open topics, and we don't lose, we don't drop any balls in that sense. Mm-hmm. And then the final one I picked out, only because I watched the show as well. And it was kind of good. It was a nice little bit in, which is Stanlick. He opted for the last episode of Hana Yamata. Mm-hmm. If you guys, you guys should remember, this is only a couple of seasons back, I think.
Yep.
Where they incorporate the opening song as the song that they dance to in the festival. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm now struggling to remember.
Yeah, it was something
which was obviously So and obviously they've just played the opening, which is kind of nice. But I felt like Hana Yamata deserved another song somewhere. But yeah, it's a good, nice little. It's a great moment in fairness, where everyone gets back together to Yosakoi.
I'm surprised that you didn't mention the people who were talking about the Egoist and Supercell.
I was going to point out, I'm a big fan of Supercell.
I'm like, it came up twice.
Yeah, I know, right? There's a lot of people here who love Supercell. I mean, so I'm not going to... what's his username? I'm not going to... anyone want to try it? I see one here that's impossible. The one that's like SC113.
Mailwiz is how I'd say it.
I would argue...
I'd just say SC113, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, but you've now been shortcut to SC113. So he essentially picked any Ego Supercell song.
And Ken's totally fine with that.
Yeah, I'm all aboard now. That's like, who doesn't? I mean, it's so many good songs they've done.
They're fantastic.
The composer's fantastic. I mean, the fact that he goes through singers like a rock star, like a rock star goes through girlfriends. He just picks any singer.
They definitely composed a great music video in Guilty Crown.
Yeah.
What, the actual music video or the actual ending for the anime are we talking about here? I haven't seen the music video itself.
It was a tongue-in-cheek reference to Guilty Crown being a music video. Never mind!
Yeah, he was saying Guilty Crown's really bad outside of the music.
Well, it was someone who did the soundtrack to that, but anyway.
It's a joke.
And
there's just so much disappointment after that. Just the disappointment level is high.
I liked it, but it wasn't great. Okay, yeah.
I like the part when his arm got cut off. That part was pretty awesome.
Well, it didn't make any fucking sense, but yeah.
and when they brought in that American dude, the military, not the general, the guy who tipped missile launchers on its side. That guy's a hero. He needs more medals for that. The guy, I think it's called Ken. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not saying it's me.
Oh,
just saying it's called Ken. Anyway, but they're the comments I felt were that best round out all the other obvious answers that we probably missed out. Because, you can't go wrong with Supercell. Suzumiya is perfect, one of the most perfect moments, and Hana Yamata because being reasonably relevant.
Yep.
So, sorry, Nante, I didn't mention cowboy. Cowboy. What's that show called now? Even I can't remember.
Cowboy Bebop.
Yes, I only watched
Well,
that.
technically now you
Now
have mentioned it,
but
so
you know, it's not the ones I've
you
been
kind
considered
of have
one of
to
the better
mention
ones.
it.
Yeah, well, obviously he went with.
Bebop. You have to mention Bebop. The opening is just perfect.
Yeah,
Bebop has a great soundtrack.
Yeah, he went with. He chose Rain, the female vocal version, which is played on I think the final episode and somewhere in episode 12. But yeah, that's a good moment. It's a good song. Mm-hmm. Not that I can remember it.
Not that he remembers it or anything.
I don't know. Anyway.
Baka.
Alright. Well then, I guess it's the end of the episode. Mm. Any last words and anything? And Michael, any last words on how the people can reach you?
Yeah, you can reach me. My Kinja username is Protonstorm. My Skype username is also Protonstorm.
His nickname is Storm Warning.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that most of my usernames are probably Protonstorm. Feel free to contact me by searching for
change them
Protonstorm.
all. You should change them all to Storm Warning.
Because that's your nickname now.
That requires work. I'm not sure I want to do that.
So what we're saying is...
we can keep it as an inside joke, but
that's
two words, and
Baka.
they don't always let me do spaces, and I hate underscores, so...
Oh, I know what you mean.
So use camel case. Computer science term. Alright.
Yeah.
Moving on.
I get it. The two words, capital first, right next to each other without spaces. I got it.
Yeah.
Still not going to do it, but I got it.
So, there's a fair chance if you see someone called Protonstorm, it's this guy here we got.
Wait, actually my Snapchat is real Protonstorm because some jerk took Protonstorm before I made it.
No!
So if you see Protonstorm on Snapchat, it's not me. It's a filthy imposter.
So
I just want to put that out there.
That's like the worst feeling.
Yeah, there's an imposter of me on, what is it, Planet Side. Weird. Okay.
Alright. Well, while we're on the topic of you, David, any last words on how people could reach you?
Well, everywhere except for Planet Side, I'm Dexomega, because, again, some jerk decided to take my unique name. And, of course, you can find me on Kinja these days. I'm pretty swamped because I've got a lot of stuff going on, but I usually find the time to do something, maybe count the head tilts of the day, who knows. So just come by, check it out. We've, of course, got our 7 anime to watch this season, so be sure to go check that out if you haven't already. Everybody put in their best, or tried to put in their best this season. It was a little difficult sometimes. So...
Well, as they always are.
it was a little more difficult to get people interested this time. A little sad. But,
What's the usual quote? 10 animes to watch this season?
I shoot for under 10 these days. 10 or under.
But then we just fill the honourable mentions out, so
yeah.
buffers it up. Kevin?
I need to find something creative to say every time just to throw you off.
I know, because generally you just don't say anything. You're like, yeah, I'm done. You're just over. You just basically turn off at this stage, so I'm surprised.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to say here that when I made my username, it was originally Camel Case, but I got lazy and every time I sign up, I forgot to Camel Case it. So now it's just continuous.
Boom.
But I'm Rockman Dash, and you can find me on Kinja, YouTube, Twitter, but I never used that. Well, I think I go by my actual name on that, but oh well.
Ah, well. Right, and that is just me. I'm as always FruityDrinks. I keep forgetting I'm sometimes drinks, sometimes I'm free, I'm lazy. And the only place you'll ever find me is on Kinja. I hide everywhere else. So if you want to ever go through me, you gotta find me through Kinja. And I don't do much. I'm basically Miyazaki. I just complain all day.
Shots fired.
Okay, so in 2 days you'll see a bunch of Fruity pictures with captions that have nothing to do with what he was actually saying.
Then I retire and then come back out of retirement. So there's that as well. So yeah, that's me. That's me as FruityDrinks on Kinja, and I think the last thing I did was that's the last thing I did. Yeah. So yeah, that's it.
Well, then
Great having you back.
Well, yeah, I was just gonna say, Biggest in Japan is not here, but you can find him at Biggest in Japan on Twitter, and he's Richard Eisenbeis on Kotaku. We're sorry he couldn't be here.
He's also really big.
He's so big that he has a virtual presence.
He's so big. He's so big he couldn't fit in this call. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's one of those things where it's like we're telling you where to find him, but all you need to know is that he's really big and he's in Japan, and you've got it.
I mean, all you have to do is just depending where you are, either look over the Pacific Ocean at the right angle, you'll see him, or look across Europe and parts of most of Asia, you'll see him again. So just depending, right?
And
so
just a quick aside with that out of the way. Next month, 12 months doing this podcast. Next month.
I know, right? It's been close. It's
Dun, dun, dun.
It's been too long.
Yeah.
It's been too long.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we're still here.
Has it?
Yes, because we did our first episode on April 1st or 2nd or something like that. Funny,
Something
isn't it?
like that.
Wow, time really flies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can't wait for that.
Yeah. That means I have to plan something. Oh God. All right.
I'll help you plan. Just like I'm planning my April Fools for AniTAY. We'll see.
Ooh, all right.
That April Fool's is going to be hardcore on AniTAY. You guys might want to avoid that, or watch it.
Or indulge it all. Indulge it all, as I say.
Exactly.
It's been great having you back here again, Michael.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you again. Again, first reoccurrence, you know?
Yeah,
you
I have that distinction.
Woo!
Man, who would have thought? Of all... Right, so this has been AniTAY Podcast episode 11. Thanks for listening. As always, you can like us on iTunes. You can subscribe to us. You can rate us as well. Please give us 5, because that'd be the great. I mean, it's a scale from 5 to 5, I think, on iTunes. So 5 would be the best number to pick here.
Wait, is the scale from 5 to 5?
Ken. now people are just going to give
just trying to make them rate at 5.
That.
I'm just making them rate at 5.
We're going to give you 1s because you're saying this. What are you doing?
Shh. You don't need to know that, right? And then what other ways do you want it? And if you enjoyed the episode, fantastic. And then again, please tune in next time. And till then, guys, see you next month. Not next week, because God forbid us trying to do this every week.
Oh, God.
See you next month, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
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 No, screw you. I've already cut it.